Welcome to Midlife Moves, where we're figuring out this whole midlife thing one day, one workout, and one what the hell just happened moment at a time. I'm Heather, and if you're navigating career shifts, fitness goals, parenting teenagers, or just wondering when the hell we became the grown-ups, you're in the right place. Let's talk about the real stuff, no filters, just honest conversations and a little bit of chaos. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Midlife Moves. Hagrid is choosing now to join in. So say hello, Hagrid. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies what this show is all about, taking bold steps in midlife to create a life that actually feels like yours. Tateossian is a fitness and lifestyle coach, a certified personal trainer and nutritionist, and the founder of THOR Wellness, where she helps women reconnect with their strength, their health, and power through retreats and coaching. What makes Terry absolutely fascinating isn't just her expertise, it's her story. At 37, she was at her heaviest. She was overwhelmed and heading toward a health crisis. Fast forward to now, she's not only transformed her whole life, she built a platform to help other women do the same thing. I got to spend time talking to Terry about fitness, about skinny talk, about her retreats, and about her story in general. And honestly, she's one of the most fascinating people that I got an opportunity to speak with. I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation. So let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Midlife Moves. I'm Heather Francis, and today I have the distinct pleasure of talking with Terry Tateossian. Terry's here to talk a little bit about her story, which is a powerful example of what midlife reinvention can really look like. Terry's a mom of two, an entrepreneur, a fitness and lifestyle coach, and the founder of THOR Wellness. She spent years doing what a lot of us do, pushing through, putting herself last and trying to hold everything together, family, all of it. But in her 40s, she hit a turning point and decided to rewrite the whole story. We're going to talk a little bit about what that looked like, where she is now, and what brought her to this point. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about THOR Wellness and some of the retreats that you host, because I've been following you on Instagram, and I would love to hear more about those too. Let's get into it. Terry, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Heather, so much. I'm so excited to chat with you. I think we're going to have a great time.
I agree. So I guess my first question is, a lot of women, like once we hit our 40s, we really feel like the time to make those big moves has passed. And that was not your experience. What helped you rewrite that story for yourself?
It's funny that you say that, because the 40s are actually the time to make the big moves, because there are so many things going on biologically, physically, emotionally, mentally in our lives, in all aspects, really. And it calls us, it truly does call us to make really big moves, because by the time personally that I hit 40, I felt like I kind of had a better grasp on who I was, what I liked, what I didn't like, what made me feel good, what absolutely drained my energy. And I had a really good stance on where I wanted to be, how I wanted to feel. And I feel like in my 20s and 30s, it was such a mishmash. I mean, it was a hot mess in the 20s and 30s. So how could we have the time to figure all that out, right? And so I feel like the 40s and the 50s are really such a gift to us, where we get to explore who we are in a much calmer way. We get to really understand how to take care of ourselves. So many myths are kind of dispelled. And it's been the best time of my life, really, the 40s. And I'm really looking forward to my 50s, which are about a year and a half away.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. The 20s and 30s were definitely you have no idea who you are. You don't know what you like. You're just, and you're kind of just like working through like the day to day. You're just, my experience was just trying to, I was just trying to survive. So entering the 40s and having a little bit of space to know myself has been absolutely transformative. Right before you decide, because you're an entrepreneur, your background is entrepreneurial. Right before you decided to make that major change, what pushed you into this? Like, what was the transformative moment for you?
I had so many. And so I'll give you a little bit about my history, right? So I started
Hmm.
my entrepreneur journey at about 25, 26. And it was very interesting because the idea that got me on that path was to build a community very much like Facebook. Facebook did not exist at that time. It was Friendster and MySpace. And so I had this idea where with my partner, we had this idea, well, what if we made Friendster and MySpace more about, the best restaurants and having a community and shops for other entrepreneurs, like an Etsy kind of thing. I mean, it was pretty cool, and it wasn't in existence at that time. And then Facebook came on board. Google wasn't. I mean, Google, I think, was maybe like a year old, maybe 2 years old at that time.
Hmm.
So just to give you some perspective on how long ago that was, right? And so we started building these platforms. My background is in computer engineering, computer science. That's what I went to school for. That was my profession. And we just kept going right in that direction. And eventually, at one point, I had over 11 different e-commerce stores selling very niche type of products. I started my own brand of e-commerce products, and it was just rolling that way. And then one day somebody said to me, well, why don't you like create a company that does this for other brands? You seem to because it was very new, right? It was the new frontier e-commerce back in the day. And so why don't you start a company that teaches people how to do all this? And I was like, nobody's going to pay me to do that. Who the heck is going to want, because it's hard, it's difficult, it's time consuming. And lo and behold, there were absolutely brands that are interested in that type of expertise. So that's how I got into the agency space, into the agency, marketing agency, technology agency. And so I did that for many years, grew the company to about 40 employees. I think about 40, 50 consultants and contractors, work with over 400 different household names, household brands that we use daily nowadays. And so that's how it all kind of unfolded.
Hmm.
Now, on the surface, when I say these things, it sounds amazing, right? It's like, oh yeah, that's like everybody's dream is to start up an entrepreneur journey, have a company, be involved in all these exciting brands. And, I was out doing photo shoots and like super cool events where the latest robotics technologies were being presented. I was all over the place, okay, internationally traveling, not just within the United States, but just all over the place for work. And by the time I was 37, I had hit my maximum weight I had ever been in my life, which was 210 pounds. And I'm 5'3", just to give you a perspective. I think when I would go on the BMI scale, it said I was 60% fat, basically, 50, 60%, something like that. So half of me was considered to be all fat. I was eating like garbage, just complete, whatever found its way into my mouth was my food. I didn't care. I had had two children by the time I was 37. Actually, my youngest was 2 years old when I was 37. So he was born when I was 35. I was still wearing maternity clothes. Okay. That was, those clothes were not getting retired. They were in the closet. I ended up eventually being hospitalized twice. I was hitting the alcohol on a daily basis. And it started out kind of innocent, they say a glass of wine a day is good for you, right? No, because that one glass turns into two, turns into three, four glasses is a bottle, then that's not doing anything. Now you're into harder liquor. And, my first thought of the day at one point was, do I have enough Grey Goose in the freezer for tonight? And so things just escalated very insidiously, very slowly. The weight came on, more alcohol entered the picture. I ended up in the hospital, not once, twice, because the first time I I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to deal with whatever the heck this episode was, right? I thought I was having a heart attack, but they couldn't figure out, they couldn't confirm it was a stroke or a heart attack or anything like that. And they attributed it to anxiety, gave me a Xanax, told me to go change my lifestyle, lose some weight and get my act together. Of course, I was like, okay, I don't have time for that. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
And so I ended up back in the hospital again. And this time I was like, okay, I see. So this was not a fluke. My body is going to keep doing this until I listen. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, I guess, I have to put my head down and figure out what the heck is going on.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of women can probably see, because as you were going through the step, just the different levels of your journey, I saw myself in so many of them. Like the drinking was like an issue, especially during COVID. I would wake up and it would be like 3 o'clock, and I was like, I think it's time. I think I've waited long enough. And then like it would just be a glass of wine, and then it would be 2 glasses of wine. So many women experience things like that, and we just don't share that. This isn't what the public sees. Like nobody else would know that I'm at home drinking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And and that was kind of what started. It was part of the beginning of my fitness journey as well, because like once you're like, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this to my body anymore, and it was unhealthy. And then like it kind of just escalated from there. So you lost over 80 pounds at that point.
Yes. Well, not all at once, right? So
Right.
I went through massive trial and error. I can't even tell you. So, being kind of a type A overachiever kind of personality, right? I figured out, okay, people can do this. Everybody does this. People have control over themselves. I can do this. Okay. And I started literally, I was on a mission at that point. Once I realized this is what I got to do, I was like, all right, let me get this done as quickly as possible and just move on. Let me just knock it out of the park. And so I hit every diet out there. Literally, I don't think there's a diet out there that I have not done. So between the ages, I believe between 37 to about 40, I did them all. I did keto, Atkins, South Beach, fruitarian, juice cleanses, gut cleanses. There's too many to go through. And I realized that the more I dieted, the bigger I was getting. So initially I would lose weight. Let's say I would drop 30 pounds. I'd get down to 180, 170, let's say. And I was like, all right, that's good enough. This is going to suffice. Okay. Just go back to normal, go back to regular life. And then not only would I gain back 30 pounds, I'd gain 40, 50 maybe.
Yes.
So it kept just going up and down, up and down. I was yo-yoing every diet I tried. It worked for a little bit. I would white knuckle it, and then the weight would come back with a vengeance, right? And so at one point I realized, holy moly, this is not working. This is not, none of these diet books, which by the way, there's 40,000 diet books on Amazon. And I have another thing I want to talk about that kept me up at night last night. I couldn't stop thinking about it, but there's now even more than that, right? So 10 years ago, there wasn't as much information on social media as there is now. Now we have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all these things, and all of these pseudo professionals giving out claims of, how to lose weight. There's this whole skinny talk thing going on right now on TikTok. I can't found that yesterday. I can't. And so I was doing that, but without the assistance of the enormous amount of social media information. So I was kind of in the dark about it. And then I came up with my own diet finally, because none of the other diets worked. I said to myself, how much can I eat? Can I eat really large volume throughout the day, but low calorie while doing, and this was a little crazy, I was doing 3 45-minute Peloton rides a day.
Okay.
this massive Tupperware container where I would make this giant salad. I had no protein. I had none of those things. And I would eat that all day. That was all of my food for the day. And I would just eat nonstop. I was chewing all day long and riding my bike. And yes, I did lose weight. And once I did, I dropped a few pounds and then I got paranoid. I was like, okay, I don't want to, because previously I'd gain it all back plus some, right? And so this time I was like, okay, there's no way I'm going to gain this weight back. I need help. So I reached out to a coach at that point, and that's when my whole world got turned upside down, because I was like, whoa, like I have literally done it all wrong. My entire life, everything I did was wrong based on what I learned from my coach, which was a higher protein, not so much cardio, lift weights, recompose your body so that when you do lose fat, you actually look good underneath it, right? And all of this stuff, it was like God's gift to me and all womankind. I couldn't believe, why is this not common knowledge? Why do we not know about this? Why is every single diet book out there about eat 3 carbs a day and do 5 hours of cardio, and that's, the protocol? And that's when everything changed for me, honestly.
Yeah, it's amazing because, growing up, that's what we were taught. You taught cardio is what you do to be thin, and you have to be thin. Thin is the goal, and no carbs. Like carbs are a no. But even like the 1,200 calorie diets and, all of those things, strength training is not something that women do because you don't want to get bulky. Like all those things that we grew up hearing, like really the reality is totally opposite. So retraining how you think about food and movement and fitness, like that's a journey in itself.
Absolutely. I was flabbergasted, right? That was the narrative my entire, 20s, 30s, and now getting into 40s. And so I consider myself one of the lucky ones that discovered this was a complete misinformation for decades. And I was able to change my mindset to understand and actually have the courage to try it out and get the result from it. But also I became so passionate about it, and so it just became my mission, because it was so life-changing for me that I couldn't believe this was hidden secret information out there that only bodybuilders knew, apparently. And something that I'm so bummed about discovering, I found this yesterday. It seems like there's yet another generation being conditioned to eat 700 calories a day. I saw this with my own eyes. And to get as skinny, is what it's called, skinny talk, TOC. If you guys look this up, it's actually quite disturbing. It's on TikTok. And I saw with my own eyes people that I believe, just by looking at their body and their face, have very serious eating disorders, giving out advice to girls and women on how to get skinny. That's the thing now. Be skinny, get skinny, look skinny, how to get skinny. All about skinny, skinny, skinny. Eat 700 calories a day, which is maybe like a toddler amount,
It's a toddler. It is. Yes.
So it's coming back around. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, like I thought we were making progress. I thought that, all of us in our 40s and 50s that have experienced the benefits and the effects of this lifestyle, we're so many of us now out there talking about it, that I thought, wow, we're not making any progress, because this new wave is coming in now doing the exact same thing that we did 30 years ago.
I saw your story about skinny talk yesterday. And so I looked it up, and it reminded me very much of like the waif, that waif movement in the 90s. Do you remember, like bone, it was bone. There was, no fat on you. Yeah. It's disturbing because these girls have a platform. and they're just, sharing it. So like my daughters are on TikTok, and that is, the information that even subconsciously they're consuming. And a lot of times, and I guess, and even these girls, they don't have the, the critical thinking skills to understand like, oh, this doesn't make sense for me health-wise. This could have long-term effects. It is disturbing.
I was really, I couldn't sleep last night thinking about it because the amount of, it's just proliferating, like the amount of misinformation, no matter how hard, I feel like a lot of us are trying to get the word out. There's a whole wave coming in now with this new trend. Because, if you think about it, diets are like fashion, right? There's all these different trends. They come back in style, and the looks are coming back in style. So, it's a very dangerous thing to eat 700 calories a day if you're a grown woman.
Yeah. And actually, when I started like all of this, the exercise part was easy. I enjoyed the strength training. I enjoyed lifting weights. That wasn't a problem for me. The nutrition was the problem because I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. And it seems overwhelming. And all I could think is, I don't want to be hungry all the time. And then I also started working with a coach, and that's what shifted my mindset. And, and she was like, you don't need to eat 1,200 calories. Like you can eat 1,900 calories and like still eat a lot of food. Just, you have to know how to eat. Like I think having that information out for a lot of other women is really helpful. Like your mission and, like part of mine with this podcast, I think what we can do for our daughters and for these young girls is just continue to speak that message into existence and just show like smaller isn't better, and hope that, they model after our behavior more than anything else.
If your frame is that way naturally, I think that's great, right? But if your frame is not conducive, or that's just not the body type that you have, trying to fit into a completely different body, I feel like is very detrimental to mental health, emotional health, your physical health, all of it, right? And so, for example, if you are genetically more inclined to be more muscular, trying to basically lose any kind of tissue, muscle tissue, fat tissue, all the tissue off your body would be very difficult, and you'd be miserable the majority of the time. And the opposite, right? So there's a lot of people that have a very thin frame that are trying to gain weight, which is also very difficult. It's actually more difficult to gain weight than to lose weight, but muscle. But I feel like that type of conditioning and that type of mentality where we have to fit into a particular standard of one type of body sounds completely insane to me, because we're all completely different. We're all built differently. We have different proportions. We have different strengths. We have everyone is an individual, and these trends are just driving me crazy.
Well, as soon as I saw that low-rise jeans were making a comeback, I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh man. And the other thing I'm noticing, the Victorian style is coming back, which I kind of like it. I think it's really funky, like the super high collars and the poofy dresses and all these things. So it's interesting.
We were at the beach over the weekend, and I was on the boardwalk, and this guy was wearing like very interesting pants. And I said to my daughter, like, what does he have on? What's happening with his pants? Like, we weren't close enough that I could like really see. She's like, he's wearing pantaloons. I was like, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know if that's what they were supposed to be, but they were like really tight around the calf and then really loose around the thigh. It was so funny.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah. The Victorian age is coming back.
I'm not mad about that. That could be fun.
I don't know. Honestly, I cannot take a man seriously if he's wearing those clothes.
No, but it's fun to watch. I don't know. Yeah. No, it's fun to watch though. That's funny. So you coach and lead retreats. Like that is what you do right now. And beneath all of that, like like we talked a lot about your transformation, and what do you believe is the most powerful shift a woman can make in this chapter in life?
In her 40s. So during menopause,
Mm-hmm.
My favorite word is acceptance, right?
Oh
Accepting
God.
who we are,
Uh-huh.
what we are, the I don't give a flying poop about what
Mm-hmm.
other people think, setting boundaries and just accepting the fact that no, you don't have to please everybody. No, everybody doesn't have to please you. No, you don't have to just completely give up all of your time and your peace and your needs in order to fit in this stereotypical box of what we're supposed to be. There's no such thing as supposed to, right? We're all
Mm-hmm.
individuals and we can set our own path. And that's okay. It's okay to accept where we're at right now. You don't need to be younger. You don't need to look younger. You don't need to go back to your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. You don't need to be skinny, fit into skinny pants. You don't need you just finding a place to it and be able to accept feeling good where you're at is, I think, life
Mm-hmm.
changing.
What I have found, like my personal experience with that, is that I spent so long focusing on others, like my husband, our business, our home, our kids, all of those other things that I didn't I didn't pay attention to myself at all. Like I would get my hair highlighted when I had to get it highlighted, and beyond that, there was no attention paid to myself. So once my kids started going off to school and I started having a little bit of time, I stopped and I was like, I don't know who I am. So and that started 2 years ago. And so finding like who I am as an individual and not as, like mom or, like a wife, like accepting that person that, like accepting where I am today. Like it's not going to be where I am in 2 years. But I love that word. I love that that is your word. I love that that's your word.
Gives you so much freedom, it gives you grounding, it gives you freedom. It reduces anxiety. It reduces chasing things constantly, right? And so a lot of us spend our days chasing the number on the scale, chasing, what every fashion trend out there is trying to promote and make you think you need, which you really don't. Chasing specific career goals and basically just constantly chasing, which ultimately leaves us unhappy because if we're
Mm-hmm.
always chasing, we're never really enjoying and accepting where we're at right now. Being present in this moment right now
Yeah.
is, I think, like the best thing that you could experience.
And ironically, it's one of the hardest things we can experience. No, but you're absolutely right. You're right. For the woman listening who feels stuck, what's one small but powerful move she can make today?
Mm. I love that. So, why are you stuck? First of all, that's my first question. And
Mm-hmm.
most likely it's because you are in your own way. So if you're listening, think about all the ways that you get in your own way because you're not stuck because somebody's making you stuck. You're not stuck because, oh, someone's not driving you to the gym or someone's not propping for your food or they're not prepping your meals. No, you're stuck because inside of your mind there is that saboteur that pops out of the box anytime you try to move in any direction and keeps you from moving forward. And that's you, right? And usually the reasons why people are stuck is fear. They're afraid of humiliation, embarrassment, being made fun of, failing. This is not going to work. I'm so different. I'm such a lost cause. This is never going to work for me, which is complete
Mm-hmm.
nonsense, right? And all
Mm-hmm.
of these things
Mm-hmm.
are coming from a place of fear, trauma, and it applies not just to lifestyle and fitness and wellness and nutrition, it applies to career, your family, your relationships, all these things. If you're stuck in something, it's because you are making yourself stuck. So the questions are, what am I doing that is keeping me stuck and is keeping me from getting in my own way. And then once you start asking those questions and becoming aware of some of these behaviors, like the stories you tell yourself about why you can't do something, or oh, I can't go on a trip by myself. Really? Why not? People do it
Why
all the
not?
time.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't walk down this hike alone. What if I get murdered? You know, you could walk off the
Yeah.
curb on the street and get hit by a car at any second, right? So, like, it's just a story that you're telling yourself.
I love that. I think that that's right. I think that that's right. And fear, like I know that there are days that I catch myself not doing things because I'm scared of what other people are going to think. And like I have to actively catch that and be like, this is not, you are not living your life for them. So like just move forward. Can you tell me a little bit about your retreats? Because they look phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my happy place.
I was on the website today and I was like, that looks very nice.
Yeah, it's all the things that I personally love. So they are located on a 50-acre mountaintop property with basically virgin land, virgin forest. And we spend our days first thing in the morning, we do yoga, we have a nice healthy breakfast, we go on a hike around Cherokee National Forest, then we have lunch again, amazing food, very nutritious and healthy, prepared by our chef, Michelle, and then potentially could do some strength training. We do maybe a workshop on lymphatic brushing or something else, or just hang out and chat. And then we have dinner, and then we have another restorative yoga session or possibly Pilates session. Really depends on each group is really individual. So a lot of it is catered towards the group and their vibe and their energy level and fitness level and things like that. But we do that for about 5 days. And the goal is to leave the place feeling renewed, cared for, cherished, and relaxed, and maybe even kickstart your fitness journey, or maybe pick up some tips on what kind of food or how to prepare it, how to meal prep, how to set yourself up for success when you go home. There's some coaching involved as well. So if anybody's interested in starting resistance training, I try to help with form and how to brace properly and all those things, technique. So then when you go home and you go to the gym, you don't feel so intimidated by it. But that's the gist of it.
So what do you find? So what is the average size group that goes?
So we can only accommodate up to 10 people. So they're pretty small. So it's anywhere between 6 to 10. And I find that that size is more conducive to creating friendships and better relationships and getting to know each other a lot better. And I get to spend a lot more time with each person. So that's generally the size.
And then what is the fitness level on average? Is it beginners? Is it people that are pretty, already, kind of into their program? What do you find as the baseline?
Oh man, there's no baseline. So I have literally had beginners that are just starting out all the way to Olympic gold medalists.
That's probably fun.
It's incredible. And ultra marathon runners that are running 100-mile marathons. It's really all over the place. Professional ballerinas, and it's a mix. And the greatest part about that is that when you have an outlier like that in the group, where they bust every belief and story that we tell ourselves, it's just such a magical experience, because when you see someone at almost 60 years old do a one-handed cartwheel, you're like, what the heck? And I'm complaining about doing a squat.
I know, yeah.
Incredible, yeah.
That's awesome. I've been trying to train myself to do handstands for like almost a year. And I'm like, I can do this. I know that I can do this. And then I see people like walk across the floor on their hands. And I'm like, Heather, come on. You can do a handstand. You're going to be okay. That's fun. You do a lot of yoga. Is that your primary, like, do you have this is just more me being nosy and curious. Do you have like, what is your favorite mode of movement, of exercise? Is it yoga, or is it like strength training? What is your preference?
So my philosophy is that you need to cross train. You can't just do yoga and you can't just do heavy weights. In fact, my philosophy is that the heavier you lift, the more yoga you need to do. Because the more muscle you get on your body, the less mobility you start to experience, which is what I started happening to me. So the more muscle mass I was getting, the less flexible I was becoming. And then I realized, okay, wait a minute, I have to cross train yoga, Pilates, and strength training and cardio. So you got to do them all, but you got to find a way to incorporate it into a really sustainable program, right? So you're not going to do 10 hours of cardio a week and 10 hours of strength training and yoga every day. But there needs to be a really intelligent, nicely designed, balanced program to help you. Now, if you're just starting out and you're looking for the thing that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck as far as body composition, is absolutely resistance training with 1 day a week of yoga. But my general schedule is absolutely, I do yoga, Pilates, strength training, and cardio. So
I hate cardio. I like hiking. There's a couple modes of cardio that I am, I'll do it. I do it because I know you have to do it. It is my least favorite thing to do. Any day of the week, it's my least favorite thing to do.
I hear you.
I have to like make myself. I'm like there's times that I'm like I have to go for a walk right now. Like I have to get my heart rate up. I make myself do it because it's my least favorite thing. Strength training is my favorite thing.
Yeah, no, me too. My top favorite thing is strength training. Cardio is probably the least favorite. So I'm always trying to think of ways like, how the heck can I get through this and still have a good time? So now I started jump roping. But let me tell you, jump roping is very humbling.
Jump roping? I have a jump rope. I bought one and I was like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be like the people on Instagram that can like dance with it. And then I tried it one time and I was like, I am not going to be one of them. That is a dream that will not be realized. But it is hard.
It hits, and I feel it in my posterior chain. So my calves are on fire, my hamstrings are on fire, glutes are on fire, the back of your arms are on fire, everything is on fire. It's plyometrics, right? So that's another aspect of training that you incorporate. And it's a HIIT workout essentially, because my heart rate goes up to like 150, 160. And I have to work really hard at this point to get my heart rate past 120. Really, like I would have to be hauling ass running to get up to 140, 150. And that's kind of like dangerous a little bit, I feel like. And it's really hard on the joints. And so when I found out that jump rope does this job and I don't even have to do anything, go anywhere, drive anywhere, plan, I don't have to like run like a maniac and I can get that effect. I was sold, but man, it knocks you out, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's funny. I think that's another important like mind shift for people, that it's not just running. You don't just have to run. Like there's other options. Like I thought that it was just running. So you're not too far from me. We have the Broad Street Run. It's like a 10-mile run. And I did that for 3 years because I was like that. And, I was in my 30s and I was, I thought that's, you run. And I hated every second of it. I hated all 3 years and my time got slower and slower. And so I think from that, I was like, I will never touch cardio again. But I like box jumps and wall balls. Like I put together like a HIIT workout that kind of gets my heart rate up. And that seems to work too.
Yeah, I love those because, when you do like CrossFit type of HIIT or like plyometric type of HIIT, I feel like the time just goes really quickly.
Oh, it
And so you'll get
flies.
yeah. And I love that.
I do too. I do too. Yeah. My last question for you is during your transformation, during all of this, and like where you are now, the physical part, emotional or otherwise, is there ever a time, or is there ever a time now where you think, I just can't believe this is my life?
Every day.
Every day. Yeah.
Every day. And if I do have an off day where, let's say like I'm doing something new or I'm planning something new for the retreats and I get a little bit like type A, like hyper,
Yes, I
on
know.
top of
Yes.
it, I guess it's anxiety, I would call it. Like you get anxious because you want to deliver, you want it to be really good. My daughter has the best comment and she goes, Mom, why are you having anxiety? You're living your dream life. And it just stops me right in my tracks. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right. So
Mm,
I'm anxious because I want it to be really good. But
yes.
why do that? Why drain my energy? Just do the best you can
Yes.
and it will be great. And this is what you
And it'll
love
be great.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. These kids, they know, don't they? Like they kind of, because my daughters call me on my stuff too. They're like, Mom, you need to step it down a notch. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I am so grateful that we had this opportunity to talk. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to find out about the retreats, you also do one-on-one coaching. If they want to find out more about that, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, thehouseofrose.com. There's all the retreats are on there. I think there's only 4 still available for this year. All the others have sold out. And one-on-one coaching is available as well on the website if you're interested. And you can also find me on Instagram. My handle is How Good Can It Get? That's where I post all kinds of stuff on there. You'll find all kinds of things going on. But the retreat Instagram is THOR, THOR.wellness. So if anybody's curious, you can find me on there as well.
And you have a podcast that
Yes,
kind of
How
goes
Good
with
Can It
your
Get?
Instagram. How good can it get? Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody wants to subscribe to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry. This was wonderful for me. I'm really glad we had the opportunity to do this. That's it for this episode. If you had fun, learned something, or just feel a little less alone in the chaos, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come find me on Instagram at HeatherMoves_, because midlife is way more fun when we do it together. Until next time, keep moving forward, or at least keep moving. See ya.